Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today we're talking about my 2018 reading stats. So you guys know I include stats in my wrap-ups that let you know what formats I've been reading, what genres, what age range they are, and I have compiled all of those to bring you this video. Now I anticipate that this video is going to be quite short, and that is because I haven't really been tracking that much. As well as that, I have just recently started using a spreadsheet that Ali from Hardback Hoarder shared on her Twitter, I'll put a link to it down below, that tracks a lot of different things. Now I am going to be using that going forward, so next year you can expect to know all sorts of things like how much money I've spent on books this year, how many of the books I read were borrowed or owned, or where I got them from. But for 2018, I really just could not plug all of that information into the spreadsheet, so I've just got you pretty much my basic stats that we've been tracking in my wrap-ups. Now I have never done a stats video before. I have all of the data, I have a few pie charts and things to show you. I'm going to try and present this to you in as much of a cohesive manner as possible, but please bear with me if it's a little all over the place because there's a lot of stats and I don't really know the best way to present them. So starting off with the basics, I read a grand total of 89 books in 2018, which broke down to an average of 7.4 books per month. These all added up to a total of 30,461 pages, which is an average of 2,538 pages per month. In 2018, 55% of the books that I read were books in a series, while only 26% were standalones. However, 18% of the books that I read were rereads, and every single reread was a book in a series, which means that on a whole, 71% of the books that I read in 2018 were part of a series. The only other percentage in this category is that 2% of the books that I read were arcs. I don't get a lot of arcs, I don't request a lot of arcs, I only request ones I'm super excited for, and then obviously I don't get them all, so I only read 2 total arcs this year. For the formats of the books that I read, 62% were physical standard novels, 16% were graphic novels, 11% were ebooks, and pretty much all of these I read on Scribd. And again with Scribd, 8% of the books that I read were audiobooks. The smallest metric here is again at 2%, and that is for short stories, and I did only read 2 short story collections again this year. I think the most surprising metric of all of these is the graphic novels. I didn't used to be a big graphic novel reader. I think I only started reading graphic novels in 2017, and then I was only reading The Walking Dead, and I didn't really love it that much. I mean, like, it was okay because I enjoy the show, but it wasn't really gripping me. But this year I read the entire Saga graphic novel series up to its published date, and I also read the first volume of Archie, I think, and 2 Rat Queens volumes. So I've been dabbling a little bit more in graphic novels this year, and I think that it shows. Out of the demographics of the books that I read, only 55% were young adult. Now this is surprising because I thought that it was split about 60-40 between adult and young adult. However, I obviously am still predominantly reading young adult books. That being said, 38% of the books that I read were adult novels. It is almost a 60-40 split, and in 2019 I am looking to read a little bit more adult. I kind of want it to be around 50-50. We only have 2 more demographics and the percentages read are quite small. I read 5% new adult books, which was essentially all Colleen Hoover books, and only 1% middle grade, which was essentially like the Giver series. For my ratings, I gave an unreasonably large amount of 5 stars. I had 39 5-star books this year, 22 4-star, 18 3-star, 8 2 stars, and just 1 1-star. Now as you can see from the chart, they're like descending from high to low ratings, which means I read a lot of books that I really love this year, which is always good. I always want the higher rated books to outnumber the lower rated books. I'm surprised that I had as many 4 stars as I did because I felt like I hadn't given many 4-star ratings at all this year. I did post a poll on Twitter about whether you guys wanted me to kind of revise my rating system, but you seem to like it as it is, so I'll leave it as it is. But I'm not sure whether I maybe want to start using half stars, because now that I read a lot more critically than I used to, I think that half stars would be helpful to give me a more precise rating. Now for the genre breakdown. Unsurprisingly, the biggest percentage is 35%, and that goes to fantasy. We're not surprised by this. I do read predominantly fantasy books. Then we have 20% sci-fi. I have been reading a lot of science fiction this year. I've decided that I really enjoy it and I want to read a lot more, but then again, a lot of this percentage is made up of saga graphic novels. Next up with 15% is contemporary novels. I'm surprised that this wedge is so big, but then after fantasy and sci-fi, there's only really contemporary, and then everything else I kind of like read maybe 5 books per year out of any other genre. So it kind of makes sense that contemporary would be about 15%. I read 7% dystopian novels, which was a little bit surprising to me because I don't read a lot of dystopian anymore. And that is closely followed by 5.7% paranormal novels. I read an equal amount of romance and mystery novels. They're both almost 5% each. And then I also had 3.4% non-fiction, which is interesting because I don't consider myself somebody who reads non-fiction, but I did read a couple this year. And then the ones that aren't really accurately represented in the pie chart, because I literally read one from each genre, we have 1 classic, 1 urban fantasy, 1 historical, 1 thriller, because surprisingly when I looked on Goodreads, a lot of the books I'd considered thrillers were classed as mysteries, so I moved them into the mystery section. And that is pretty much it for all of my genres. For how well I did each month in the year, my best reading month was July with 11 books, followed by August and May that both had 10, and then my worst reading months of the year were both September and November, where I only read 3 books each month. So I think that is about everything for my 2018 reading stats. Please let me know what you think of this video. I hope I managed to do a good job of presenting these figures to you. Like I said, next year it will be bigger and better because I'm going to be tracking a lot more things now that I have this spreadsheet, and sadly I think I'm going to give up on my bullet journal. I'm going to use it maybe for tracking lists of things, but honestly I was struggling to keep making monthly spreads and they were just going by the wayside and being really rushed, and now that I have this spreadsheet that also puts things into graphs for me, I don't really think I'm going to be needing my bullet journal as much. But that is everything for this video. Please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.